Chicago winter does not start at your front step. It starts inside the breath on the glass, inside the sound of a bus braking 2 blocks away, inside the part of you that wonders if the night is watching. On December 28, 1956, 2 sisters wrapped themselves against that kind of night and promised to be home by midnight. Patricia was 15, careful in that quiet way oldest children often are. Barbara was 12, quick as a sparrow in cold air. They were headed to the Brighton Theater because Elvis was a kind of summer in December, and they wanted a little of that heat to carry back through the snow. They left with coins warm from their palms and the sort of joy that makes you walk faster without noticing. The Brighton's marquee cast a humming honey light over the snow. Inside, buttered popcorn, damp wool, ushers tearing stubs with the flourish of magicians. Friends said they saw the sisters by the candy counter. A boy claimed he watched them slip into the second showing. Someone else swore he saw them leave early, scarves tugged up, cheeks pink. Memory isn't a camera, it is frost that moves when breath touches it, and that night a great deal of breath touched a great many memories. In the kitchen at home, a clock kept the ordinary time of a family evening. Their mother, Loretta, set 2 saucers aside the way you do when you expect to hear the key in the door. Midnight came. The saucers waited. The wind tapped the window like a knuckle. She told herself buses ran late, girls lingered, laughter stalled clocks. She told herself many things until the telling ran out. By dawn, her voice had that thin wire in it, the one the telephone hears when mothers ask for help. The city answered the way cities do, with wheels and boots and voices that carried down alleys. Patrol cars nosed through the back streets. Neighbors made lists of places to check. Volunteers formed lines across lots where crabgrass slept under crusted snow. In church basements, coffee steamed out of dented urns and grew its own weather among wool coats. Priests unlocked side doors for anyone who needed a bench and a moment. Someone taped the sisters' school photographs to a pillar. Someone else stared too long and looked away, as if looking were a trespass. Rumors arrived the way birds do after a storm, noisy and certain of themselves. A waitress said the girls ate eggs at 2 a.m. A boy said he heard their laughter on a bus route that didn't run so late. A woman was sure she saw them at a drugstore, comparing lipsticks and making the kind of faces girls make for one another. The police wrote things down. Reporters wrote other things down. The city set its jaw and kept looking. Days slid past like mail under a door. The Brighton kept flickering its name into the dark. Mothers began standing an extra minute at their own windows, watching their daughters' coats move along the sidewalks like small, determined boats. Fathers walked a little farther, hands in pockets, pretending they just felt like the air. The world that had been ordinary shifted its weight. Street corners looked back at you. There is a band of land south of the city where the road forgets its manners. Even in daylight it feels undecided. In winter, it is a place made of wind and second thoughts. On January 22nd, almost a month since the sisters had gone out smiling, a driver eased his car along that road and slowed because a color didn't belong to any ditch he knew. He stepped out and took 3 careful steps, and then no more. He went for help without speaking to the empty field. Officers came with the kind of quiet that is part respect, part fear of breaking something fragile. Coats were shrugged from shoulders and laid over small forms. The sun lay flat and offered no angles. There were no tidy footprints marching away, no trail to scold, no bragging mark of a car. The wind had read the scene and turned the page. What followed wore official language, and official language does what it can. Exposure, some said. Others read the body like a letter with smudged ink and found words they did not want to say out loud. Men were questioned. Names jumped into print and then out again. The city kept wanting a single sentence to carry all that weight. No sentence offered itself for long. Loretta's house learned a new quiet. The clock still ticked, but not for the same reasons. Neighbors left casseroles they forgot to season. People crossed the street to avoid their own helplessness, and then crossed back ashamed. Children asked whispering questions at kitchen tables and learned the shape of an answer that is really a hand being squeezed. Week after week, stories grew in the cracks the facts could not fill. A sleek car lingering near the marquee. A man whose eyes slid away from faces and who offered rides in a voice like sandpaper. Footsteps heard where no houses stood. Sightings sprouted in places far away, as if distance could be a kindness. Folks repeated the versions that hurt least. It is a human trick, not a wicked one. If this were a courtroom tale, this is where I would deliver the conclusion like a verdict. But the truth of that winter never agreed to sit still in a single chair. What can be said without lying is simple. Two sisters left for a movie and did not come home. A city looked for them until the looking thinned to a kind of watching. In the end, a stranger on a road found the missing, and no one found the why in a way they could keep. Still, the city tried to answer with behavior. Doors were locked with a new caution. Curfews stopped being arguments and became rituals. The Brighton dimmed and then, years later, went dark for good. Its bulbs finally tired of pretending light could cure a particular absence. Elvis kept singing on records, but even his voice could not chase off every shadow he helped make visible, the way joy throws the shape of what could be taken from it. I know a woman who says that on the hardest nights of January, she still sets 2 saucers on her counter and turns a cup upside down on each to keep the dust out, because old habits are a form of hope. I know a man who will not drive that south road in winter, because once, long ago, he stopped there, and the cold learned his name. These are not facts fit for a file, but they are true. Sometimes people stand where the Brighton used to be and let the traffic move around them like water finding its level. If you do that, you may hear nothing at all except buses and the soft scrape of a broom on salt. Or you might hear one burst of teenage laughter, a bright bell from a year that will not go. You might feel a brushing at the elbow that is only wind through a gap where a door used to be. You might remember 2 girls who lent their breath to the winter and asked nothing more expensive of the night than a safe ride home. Chicago keeps certain lamplights on. It is not only mourning and not only faith. It is a promise knit into neighborhoods. This window waits, this house watches, this city remembers. Patricia and Barbara. Say the names the way you would touch a sore place gently. Say them because saying is the last job we are given when answers will not stand still. If you ever walk that road in a snowfall, listen to how the sound of your own steps folds back toward you. Listen a little longer. If you hear 2 more rhythms beside your own, do not be afraid. Do not call out. Let them pass at their own speed, as if running late to a bus that will not wait, and a kitchen where a mother has just set out saucers. Imagine them reaching the front walk with noses stung red and eyes bright. Imagine a key turning, and let that picture be the warmest thing you carry home. Thank you for listening to The Lantern's Tale. Subscribe for more true stories, if you dare.